Dang, that's wrong.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. I am Andrea Wilson, one of your hosts here today, along with CG Newman, and we're bringing to you the Homebuyer Experience. And so we love working with first-time home buyers and just providing all the information to them. So just before we get started, CG, is there anything you want to share?
Well, welcome and good morning, everyone. Thank you guys for tuning in and joining us for this home buying experience. We hope that we deliver some information today that definitely can help you with the process of obtaining a home. So, yeah, welcome, you guys.
So we are super excited. So we are going to go ahead and get this going. All right, guys, we are back. Thank you for joining us today for the home buyer experience. As I mentioned, we're going to walk you through the whole entire process today on buying a home. And then we have some guests. So the first part of this, we're just going to kind of go through our presentation, and then we are going to bring our guests in to share on their expertise as it relates to buying a home. So I'm just going to share my screen here with you guys. All right, can you see my screen, CG?
I can, yes.
Perfect. All right, so this is a home buying seminar. Today is March 6th, so thank you for joining CG and I. CG, if you want to go ahead and introduce yourself to everyone.
Well, good morning, everyone. As I said, my name is CG. I am a realtor with Brickhouse Realty. Just coming today to give you guys some tips, some good information, just as far as everything that you need to know in order to purchase a home. We do have some amazing guests here today to help us explain the process. But more importantly, we just want to teach you the importance of home ownership and what that process looks like for each and every individual. So that is who I am. That is what I do. And here to help you guys with the process. So, yes.
And I am Andrea Wilson. I am actually the broker here at Brickhouse Realty and owner. And so as we kind of mentioned in the beginning of this, we specialize with working with first-time home buyers, real estate investors, down payment assistance, renovation loans, VA loans, FHA loans, conventional loans, and so much more. Buying your first home is a big step in the process. I think a lot of times people kind of dive in because they're anxious to buy a home without proper planning. So part of that mission today is to make you become prepared and knowledgeable about the entire process. So we just like to share with you to say you can buy a home, and we are here to help you achieve your real estate goals. CG, you want to?
So we're here to help you navigate through the process of buying a home, to identify the necessary steps to achieve for home ownership, and ultimately to make sure that you're comfortable and knowledgeable with the process of buying a home. So that's what we're here to deliver today, to get you well on your way to home ownership.
Perfect. So some of the benefits to owning a home, it helps you build wealth. You have tax savings when you buy your home each year. When you file your taxes, you will have some tax saving benefits. And pride of home ownership. We know that in communities, when you live there, you have more pride. You want to do things like get to know your neighbor. You care about the community. You care about the way that your home looks versus when someone is renting in a community, they end up, kind of in and going and just viewing the property as someone else's problem, and just that upkeep and everything else. So ownership provides security. It brings that stability to you and your family. Having, mama's home, or everyone has, or a lot of people have big mama's home, go back home to grandma's home, grandpa's home to visit them. And we know that that is usually the hub. And then it also helps you build good credit. A lot of times people are always looking for ways to help build their credit. When we're going to talk about credit a little bit more in this presentation, but the credit, the quickest way to be able to build your credit will be through owning a home, because the creditors are looking for a credit mix, and owning that home will help you with that. Go ahead, CG.
So responsibilities of home ownership. You want to make sure that you're making on-time payments. This does affect your credit in a major way, not making those payments on time. So we do want to make sure that you're making on-time payments every single month, as well as your property tax, insurance, repairs and maintenance of the home make a tremendous difference as well. You do want to make sure that the upkeep of the home is in par as well, along with your appliance and equipment.
So home purchase fees. This is a very important part of the process of really just understanding what's needed. How much cash will you need in order to purchase a home? A lot of times we work with people and they're really not sure. So they kind of come into this and they might be a little bit short on funds. So you have loan fees, which is also kind of wrapped into those closing fees that you pay at the end of your loan or right before closing. Those are the fees that you're going to bring to the closing table. From lender to lender, those fees may vary, but these are the questions when you're speaking to that lender that you want to make sure you ask. What are your fees? And compare apples to apples to other lenders out there. There's a credit report fee. So the credit report fee is also kind of wrapped into part of that closing cost, what makes up those closing costs that just kind of rolls into that. And then that appraisal fee. So anytime when you purchase a property and that property goes under contract, you then have to make formal loan application. As part of that formal loan application, that is that appraisal fee that you're also paying in there. On average, you can expect to pay about $500 as part of that appraisal, credit report fee, all of that kind of wrapped up together. So you're going to need that appraisal fee or that loan application fee at the very beginning. So you don't have 30 days out. So on average, a home takes between 30 to 40 days to close. So you're going to need that appraisal fee at the very beginning of all of this. The other thing that you're going to need is an earnest money deposit. This is going to be some other funds that you're also going to need at the beginning of the transaction. The earnest money deposit could be $500 on average. It could be $1,000. So I would say average is somewhere between $500 or $1,000. But someone could say you have to give us $2,000 earnest money. So that earnest money is your good faith deposit. That means that you are serious, you want to move forward. And if you were to wake up one day and just decide, no, I really just don't want it, then you could potentially lose that earnest money. But if you are moving forward with the property and say something happens, the home inspection comes back, something pops up and you don't want and you can't move forward with it, then you would get your earnest money back. So the earnest money is definitely another fee or money that you need to have at the beginning of the transaction. So the appraisal fee, you do not get that back. That's just gone. Your earnest money gets applied towards your down payment as you get to closing. And then you have your down payment money. So the down payment money, that depending on what type of loan you're going with, and we'll talk a little bit more later when one of our partners join us. But that down payment is going to be part of your depending on what type of loan you go with. it determines the amount that you can put down. It could be as low as 3%. On average, it could be about 3.5%. If you're going with like a conventional loan, it could be as high as 5%. So you won't need that money until later on, 30 to 40 days out, when you get to the closing table, as well as your closing costs. That's another fee that's going to be at the end of the closing period. Now, your down payment has to come from yourself. Savings account, it can be a gift from someone else. But your closing costs, we can't ask for the seller to contribute towards your closing costs. It's a little harder depending on, you need to understand where we're at in the marketplace, but that's definitely an option. And then last is going to be your home inspection. Home inspections are roughly around $350, $400. We do have a home inspector that's joining us later, so you can start thinking about writing down those questions. But that is a fee that you will not get back, and it's your responsibility as the buyer. And we definitely recommend that you have a home inspection to check out that home before purchasing it.
Down payment sources. So you want to make sure that you utilize every and any source that you may have as far as for your down payment. That can be savings, it can be private gifts and loans, it can be a retirement account or loans, VA loan, and private and government down payment assistance programs are always amazing. We do work with several lenders that do participate in down payment assistance, just to make sure that we kind of cut the costs and expenses when it comes to you purchasing a home. So those things you do want to take in consideration. If at any time that you have the opportunity to utilize those resources, you would definitely want to do so at this time. Of course, like I said, to minimize the ultimate cost for your down payment. So take these things in consideration when moving forward, trying to purchase a home, because you want to make sure that you account for these expenses as well. So those are the sources that we give to you guys to kind of look at when it comes to your down payment assistance. So yeah.
Okay, and I'm going to actually refresh this slide real quick, so excuse me. But while I'm doing that, stop sharing for 1 second. But while I'm doing that, I'm going to check in the chat to see if we have any questions. Christelle, I'm not sure your question. Oh, you're saying you just got your license. Well, congratulations to you on that. All right. I don't see any other questions in the chat. If you give me 1 second, I'm sorry. I'm not sure what happened to this slide. All right, I'm grateful that we can do this, you know, over the internet, but at the same time, we have to deal with technology issues from time to time. And so I think I have us together here. So I'm going to share again. All right, hopefully you can see my screen. And we are back rocking and rolling. So I'm gonna go to the next screen. All right, credit report, that FICO score. So a lot of you use something called Credit Karma or Credit Sesame to review your credit score. And I actually use Credit Karma a lot as well. You will hear some people say don't use it. Well, I just like to use it because it's an app on my phone. It's free to use, and it's just a quick peek at what's going on with my credit, and it alerts me when there's any change. But if you are using that, you don't want to use it as just a resource or a tool just to quickly check. But if you want to really understand what's going on in your credit report, you want to actually pull a full credit report by using annualcredit.com, annualcreditscore.com, or no, annualcreditreport.com, I'm sorry, to get your credit report. You are entitled to one credit report from each bureau one time a year for free. The problem with the Credit Karma is that it uses a Vantage credit scoring model, and most lenders are using the FICO scoring model, which can vary and fluctuate. Now, for the most part, I usually see it is normally higher under the FICO scoring model, but there have been some cases where it actually comes back lower. So if you're looking at Credit Karma, you may think you're better off than you really are. So a FICO score is a numerical snapshot of the information in your credit report used by the mortgage lenders to assess your credit worthiness. Scale ranges from 300 to 850. Lenders want to see a score of at least 620. The higher, the better. You will hear lenders say that, oh, you only need a 580. True, based on the guidelines of like FHA, but most lenders, they have layers in there, and so they're not going to lend to you at those lower credit scores, and your interest rate would be much higher. Just to give a breakdown of how your credit score works. This is something that if you are able to, you want to take a screenshot of to as a reminder. So 30% of your credit score is the amount of debt that's out there. So you want to pay close attention to this. If you have a credit card that has a limit of $1,000, then you should not be using no more than $300. I would say that this is the most common mistake that I see people make. They're like, my score, I'm doing everything, but my score is not going up. It's usually because you're over leveraged on your credit cards or whatever that line of credit. You want to get that down as low as possible. Actually, I don't even recommend that you spend at the 30% level. You want to stay as low as 20 and 10%, and you will start to see your credit score boost. Your payment history makes up 35% of your credit score. That's making those on-time monthly payments. So making sure that you prioritize and pay the items that hit your credit report first each month versus the things that don't necessarily hit your credit report. Also, you want to talk to those creditors that you have and understand your cycle dates. Not everything is from the 1st to the 30th. Some things refresh, mid-month or later on. So you want to understand those dates. 10% is going to be your credit mix. What type of credit do you have? Credit cards? Do you have lines of credit? Do you have installment loans? What is making up that credit mix? They like to see a good mix of that. And then 10% is going to be new credit that you put out there. And then 15% is going to be the length of history of credit. So if you have a credit card, even though you're not using that one or don't like that one, but it has the longest history, you want to make sure that you keep that and not close out that account, because that can impact your score negatively as well.
Improving your credit score. This is so important. First of all, you want to make sure that you maintain it and improve it as well, and make payment habits just as far as what it takes to improve your credit and things of that nature. Repay off collection accounts or other outstanding debt. Reduce your total debt overall, because when you proceed as far as obtaining a home loan, they do want to see what your debt to income ratio is. So ultimately, you want to make sure that your debt, you reduce that as much as possible, because that makes a tremendous difference for your approval process. Avoiding taking on new credit, especially when you're in the process of obtaining a new home. This is so important that you understand this. Most people don't realize how much that affects you, especially when you're trying to go through the process of being pre-approved. Keep revolving debt well under the credit limit, as Andrea said. You want to make sure that you keep the ratio down as much as possible because it will overall affect you in the end of that. And correct credit report errors. This is so huge. You want to make sure when you do pull your annual credit report that not only are you seeing the negative remarks that's on your credit, that you're disputing those remarks, that you're making sure you're doing your due diligence, calling up the creditors, the collection agencies, sending your dispute letters into them to get those negative remarks off of your credit report. They do affect it tremendously. So you just want to make sure that you're doing your due diligence on your half to improve your credit prior to being pre-approved.
So where can you get a loan? Mortgage companies, commercial banks, credit unions, mortgage brokers, other financial institutions, federal government loan programs, housing finance agencies. And when you do sit down for a buyer consultation with us, we do help provide you or guide you as to who you need to contact for your loan.
The 4 loan types. So the loan types that are out there when considering purchasing a home is an FHA loan, which is typically for first-time home buyers. You have your conventional loan, your USDA loan, and of course your VA or veterans loan. So you want to make sure that you do your research just to, number one, whatever position you're in, see which loan method is best for you, with the overall down payment that is required for you, interest rates and things of that nature. You definitely want to do your research when you're reaching out to lenders. Number one, to see what product they have to offer, and then number 2, like I said, to see what best fits you in your position moving forward to obtaining a home.
So comparing the loan features are important. You're looking at interest rate, the initial interest rate, if the ARM, rate adjustable periods and cap rate and rate caps, repayment period, the loan term, if there's any prepayment penalties, if there's fees, and the annual percentage rate. You want to lock in options and fees, approval process, and schedule. So we're making sure that we're asking the right questions. And that's, again, something that we can definitely help you with.
The difference between pre-qualification versus pre-approval. So many people get these two misconstrued. So we want to just make sure that you understand what's the difference between the two. For a pre-qualification, it's an estimate of how much of a loan you may, that is the key word, that you may qualify. And it's not necessarily a firm commitment. That's what a pre-qualification is. As far as a pre-approval, this is a firm commitment from a lender for a specific loan amount. The approval can be valid for as little as 30 days and exceed as much as 120 days or more for your expiration for that pre-approval.
So you don't have to worry. A lot of people are oftentimes so nervous. I don't know where to begin. I'm a first-time home buyer. I don't know anything about this. We have the roadmap for you. In fact, the image here that you see to my right, hopefully to your right as well. But this is a flow chart of how the transaction flows, that when we sit down in our buyer consultation, we go through this step by step so you know exactly where you're at. Oftentimes we find for buyers, they get shocked because once that property goes under contract, it just starts moving very quickly. So we do a one-on-one buyer consultation. We give you access to the MLS. We have the market knowledge. We guide you through the entire buying process. We handle the paperwork so it's done correctly. And the incentive, if you are a buyer, we do not charge to work with our buyer. So you definitely want to connect with us.
Making an offer. So when making an offer, number one, when submitting that offer over, we definitely want to make sure that we're including the property address offer price that we both have come to and understand that we want to submit on this property, an earnest money or a good faith deposit stating that you are definitely a serious buyer interested in taking this property off of the market, down payment, financing terms, closing costs, personal property to be conveyed. Closing date is very important, just as far as when you want to take possession of the property, expiration of the offer, and any contingencies that we may want to implement in this offer, just as far as what we want to offer in this purchase agreement for the seller.
So those common contingencies that CG just spoke of include financing, meaning your loan funding, appraisal, insurance, title, making sure that that title is clear, that you're getting no liens or anything on the property. Inspections is a huge one. That could be building and structural, pest, termite, well and water, environmental hazard, lead paint, soil, and flood.
Home buyer tip. So we definitely encourage all of our buyers to definitely make sure that you want to do your due diligence in obtaining a home inspection. This is one of the biggest and largest financial purchases that you will make in your entire life. So you do want to make sure that you are getting a home inspection just to overall know the entire conditions of the home that you're obtaining. So a home inspection is a examination of a house by a professional licensed inspector that reports on the conditions of the home and describes any problem discovered and explains how and why they occurred. So this is why we definitely suggest any individual that's interested in purchasing a home to make sure that you had a home inspection done on it as well.
After considering your offer, the seller may accept, reject, or make a counter offer on your offer that you submit.
Closing and settlement. One of two of these are done before closing. Do a final walkthrough, examine the closing disclosures. Day of closing, we would like to attend the closing with you and any settlement agreements that we have incorporated at the time. We review all of the signed documents and ultimately write a check for any outstanding costs that may be still required at that time.
So successful home ownership includes avoid risky loans, make mortgage payments on time, stay current on property taxes, maintain adequate insurance, keep the home in good shape, keep an emergency fund ready, avoid borrowing against your equity for consumer purchases, get help at the first sign of trouble. So these are, once you get the home, now you have to work on maintaining the home. And these are some of those tips.
Any questions?
So if you are not following us already, make sure maybe take a screenshot of this, take a picture with your phone. This is how you can contact us with any of your home buyer or seller. I know we're talking about home buyers today, but we work with a lot of sellers as well. We're looking for inventory. Let me throw that out there. But this is how you can contact us. You can call myself or you can call CG, and make sure you're following both of us on social media. We will offer you a free 15-minute phone consultation if you're just trying to figure out where you're at in the process of just all of this, your next steps, and where you need to go from there. And we just want to say thank you. All right, so that is our overall view. Oh, I think we have a couple questions. Yes, this is being recorded, Chris. So I think you're on YouTube, so you will be able to go back and review on YouTube to have access to everything that we're sharing here. And then Thank you, Damon. He said that this is very informative. I don't see any other questions. But so today, our purpose, we wanted to first kind of give you an overview of the home buying process. And then as promised, we're bringing guests. So you're not just hearing it from us. They're going to share all of the information, answer your questions here. So our first guest that we have, he is a lender with Union Home Mortgage. His name is Chris Hardy. So I am going to go ahead and bring Chris on into our live. Hello, hello. Hi, Chris.
Good morning. Good morning, Chris.
Good morning. Good morning, Brick House Realty. How y'all doing today?
Good. We
great.
are awesome. So glad you could make it today to join us. We call this the Homebuyer Experience, and we just wanted to really jump on today to just provide some information for anyone thinking about buying a home. So we didn't just want people to hear from us. We wanted to bring in the professionals in each of these areas that we talk about, so you can share some information and get some tips to home buyers out there. So go ahead and formally introduce yourself.
Sure thing. First of all, of course, y'all, thank you guys for having me. Definitely appreciate that. My name is Christopher Hardy. I am a loan officer with Union Home Mortgage. I've been in the business for about going on 8 years now. Been loan originating for almost 4. Just to give you guys a quick, I deal a lot with Brick House Realty. We love first-time home buyers. I think these two women do a great job of educating their potential clients. Um, we do like to give out a lot of good information just so you're equipped. I pride myself also on giving out good information and just being honest. Sometimes people just need to know that the person next to them is not going to necessarily sell them, but tell them something and tell them the truth, whether it's good or bad. So that's kind of like my operating. That's kind of like how I do it. I like to give information out. I like to be transparent as possible. With that being said, I can't take up time just talking about what I like to do. I'm going to give you guys a few tips. Number one, as they mentioned, the best thing to do if you speak to your realtor is they're going to want to see you get pre-approved. Okay. And the take that I want you guys to understand is not all pre-approves are created equally. Okay. A lot of times there's a lot of lenders out here. There's great ones. There's phenomenal ones. I'm not the only one. I do think that I'm with the best company out there, but that is my opinion. I do think I'm one of the best loan officers out there, but that is my opinion. But how I back it up is um, when we go through the pre-approval process, do not get discouraged with the paperwork that you need to come up front with. Okay. I am very, very serious about not wasting your time. And I don't want to give you the yes just to get you the yes. You understand? Um, if you get a pre-approval from me, you can take it to the bank. You're going to be fine. But that requires digging in and getting that documentation as soon as possible. I can't stress that enough for first-time home buyers. Be patient with the process. Yes, you're going to need your W-2s, pay stubs. Everybody normally, guys, that's easy. Okay. It's just that when you guys got more stuff and we dive in a little deeper, of course, we need your child support documents. If you had a bankruptcy in the last 7 years, you're going to want to get those bankruptcy docs. So thinking ahead, guys, if you know you have a bankruptcy and you couldn't tell yourself where those papers are, go ahead and call your attorney and get those ordered. If there's liens or anything that you need to pay, student loan stuff, get that stuff taken care of. We cannot deal with you if you have student loans and collections. Now, of course, the world is all on the forbearance, so that's not a big problem right now. Again, thinking ahead, pull out your student loan documents. If you're on an income-based payment plan, you want to get that. If you're self-employed, you want to make sure you have 2 years of tax returns. And also, this is the good one also. If we're going to do down payment assistance, most of the time we're going to use OFA, but any down payment assistance or any first time buyer programs that's out there for you guys, they all want to see home ownership counseling. Okay. So these are the tidbits that can get you a strong pre-approval and get you on the right direction. All right. So remember, if you want first time, if you want down payment assistance, you need to get the home ownership counseling out the way. You need to have your tax documents with you. If there's anything going on, if your loan officer needs to know if you're actively going through a divorce, if you're thinking about paying down something or opening a new credit line, don't do it. It's not recommended. But some cases you just can't help it. Let your loan officer know. Another thing to think about, maybe not for the first time home buyer, but for those of you that's hitting the market again, if you got a mortgage that's free and clear, think about the home ownership documents. Okay, so I'm not gonna. I only have 10 minutes, so I don't want to overdo it. But the drive home point for me for today is strong pre-approval. Get your documents, because the guy that does not ask for this stuff, yeah, that sounds great for you guys. You're excited. Oh, Chris, I don't have to give the guy next door or whatever. He didn't ask me for all this stuff. Well, he wasn't doing his job the diligent way. Get that stuff up in front ahead of time. And then the next step would be, once I got you pre-approved, once we check you off, we get you back to the realtor. The amazing thing about working with a team or with a realtor and a loan officer is because when we do our job well, we're in constant contact with each other and you to make sure the numbers are right, the monthly payment is right, the down payment is right. So we go back and forth all the time. You want to have that dialogue with your loan officer to say, hey, Chris, we can't go over this amount of money. Sometimes it's hard. Sometimes you guys gonna have to let some stuff go. And again, that's another first time home buyer tip. Hey, sometimes that house might not be for you. Okay. And I don't say that in a mean way. I'm saying, hey, you gave it your best chance, your best offer. You looked at that house, you wanted it, and sometimes it just doesn't fall out that way. But there is a house for you. Do not get discouraged. Keep yourself moving. So that's kind of like, I'm jumping around a little bit, but I think those things for first time home buyers is just some tidbits. Documentation. When you're working with a loan officer and a realtor connection, they should be communicating. Okay. If your loan officer isn't talking to your realtor or vice versa, that's a sign that might not be a good lending person that you want to think about. If your loan officer is not asking for the right questions, or he's not asking for documentation, that that may or may not be the best mortgage company for you. Okay. It's okay if it's a little hard in the beginning. So again, I don't want to over talk it. I just kind of want to hit a couple points for you guys. I love talking to first time home buyers. I love kind of digging in and answering questions with you guys. And ask good questions. Don't be afraid to ask your loan officer or your realtor a lot of questions. And yes, sometimes you feel like it's stupid. It's not. Okay. If you're doing your job right, if you're serious about your home buying and you want to know what's out there for you, ask those questions. Okay. Educate yourself. Take these seminars. These are good information pieces for you guys out there. You can't have enough of these type of seminars to just get yourself better and better, because as pros, we've been doing this for years and we are always learning, because this industry is always changing. Okay. um, I'll leave it there. That's all I got, unless you guys got questions.
So I just want to say really quick, thank you, Chris. Of course, it's always a pleasure to have you here with us, and working with you personally on a day-and-day basis. It's definitely an honor. But really quick, I just wanted to, if you can touch on the products that you in particular at Union Home Mortgage provide, just in case we do have any buyers that's tuning in, they know to number one come to you. The number two, what products do you guys offer over there at Union Home Mortgage?
So Union Home, we pretty much have we got it all. Okay, and I'll break that down to you guys. When guys are talking about first time home buyers and down payment assistance, we do have that. We have some people ask, do you have FHA? Yes, most lenders do. We all got FHA. We have the conventional product. We have a renovation product. So if you guys are out there and you see a home with a great deal, and it just needs a little love, maybe a couple updates. We can do the renovation loan and try to get you those things to make that home complete for you. Again, when the market is down like this and it's a seller's market, you might want to get creative. So we do have the renovation loan product in FHA and conventional. There's some great products with Home Possible and Home Ready where you can get 3% down conventional. Um, uh, and take it a step further with Freddie, for those who have big student loan debts, Freddie doesn't hit. Um, so there's a calculation in it, right? And then you have the 1%, is the calculation for the total balance of your student loan debt, right? And it kind of hurts people. But what Freddie does is they don't take that 1%, they cut that to 0.5%. So that's a program in itself that helps people with high student loan debt. So that's out there. There's stuff out here with tax credits where you guys can get mortgage tax credits. We have programs for that. Another hot one because of the inventory, new construction. For those who's thinking about, I just want to build new, I just want to start and get my own. We have new construction products for not only conventional, but we also have government as well. For my vets out there, we can do a new construction with you. Talk to me about that. It's not the easiest thing. I'm not going to lie to you. Again, we talked about it earlier. It's just that when you do, sometimes the hard road is what it is. We can make it as easy as we can, but some things are just not easy or they're not streamlined. Okay, but it can be done. So we could do new constructions. We can do the renovation loans. We can put you in a down payment assistance. We can help you with tax credits if possible. And on top of that, just the knowledge of me knowing little nuances about special scenarios. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes people can't handle those. Um, I myself, I can just say, I can talk to you about special case scenarios as well. Now, we did have some bank statement programs out there for investors. That stuff is kind of suspended for right now. But we do have a cool product called a bridge loan. And basically, in a quick synopsis, is sometimes if you have equity in a home before you sell that home, we can give you a loan on that equity to buy the new home while you wait for the old home to be sold. That's called a bridge loan. So we have that. I mean, we got a full wheelhouse of products. And then, like I said, I have a host of experiences dealing with quirky, weird scenarios, if you might. Now, I don't bend the rules. I'm not the top guy. I don't just, I can't wave my hand and get you in a loan. But I do know the guidelines well, and I can do whatever I can to try to make the program fit for you. And that's my job. You could come to me and say, "Hey, Chris, I read about this. I want this program." It might be the program for you, but I might be able to get you something better. I'm always thinking about your rate. I'm always thinking about your payment. I'm always thinking about what you have to come with. So those things. So anyway, we got the programs. We got whatever program you need. Give or take the bank statement. That's the one program we don't have for self-employed people. But other than that, we got it all.
That's wonderful. I do see a question on here, Chris. They're asking if you're on IG and what is your IG handle?
Sure. It's call Chris underscore the number 4 home loan. So when you read it, it's call Chris 4 home loan. But again, it's call Chris together, the underscore, and then 4, the number 4 home loan is all together. Okay. Pretty much if you put call Chris in, it should start to kind of populate. But call Chris underscore 4 home loan.
Well, thank you so much, Chris, for joining us today. We definitely appreciate you helping share this great information that you provided today. Definitely appreciate you. And I'm sure we will have you back on in the future. But please, you guys, reach out to Chris if you have any additional questions about a home loan. Very knowledgeable. He'll answer all of your questions. So thank you again. And I guess we'll see you next time.
You guys are great. You guys enjoy the show. Really, like I said, you guys give out good information. So you guys that's watching, you're definitely in for a treat for having these two take some time Saturday and really give you guys some good info. So thank you again. I got some work for y'all to do. I got to do some work for you guys. So
Yeah.
All right, see you. All right, guys. So there you have it. That was Chris. He's with Union Home Mortgage. So he filled us in, gave us some more information about just the home loan process. You know, we can go on and on. We're just here today to give you little tidbits of information. When you work with us, we're going to connect you with our preferred vendor partners in this business. Will be in absolute great hands. So I do see our next guest is here. So part of the process, right? So we get it under contract, CG, and then what happens next?
It is time for your general home inspection that we advise all of our buyers to get. So we're happy and excited to have one of our amazing inspectors that we work with day in and day out, just to provide you guys some information on the importance of having a home inspection conducted. So yeah.
So we have Tyler here, who seems to be out and about right now. I don't know if you're at the property, but
Yes.
So please go ahead and introduce yourself to everyone.
Sure. So my name is Tyler Mazeris. I am a home inspector with the company Detailed Home Inspections. We are a 6-inspector firm, and we cover all of Northeast Ohio. I myself have been doing home inspections for about 4 years, but it started as a family business, so I grew up around it. So I am pretty seasoned for my age, and looks can be deceiving. So I guess a little bit of information about what a general home inspection is, for those of you who are not familiar and have never been through the process of one. A general home inspection entails looking at pretty much all aspects of a home. So for my home inspections, I'll go up into an attic, I'll look at the insulation, the ventilation, check for roof leaks and any structural issues, and then I'll work my way down through a house, running plumbing, checking outlets, windows, doors, installed appliances, and I'll be looking for leaks and test the furnace, look at the electrical panel, water heater, air conditioning unit, and the roof, and pretty much everything. And as I'm working through through a home, I'm putting together a list of all the issues, and I'm keeping my clients updated with all the good news and the bad news, all of which will be in a report that I send out to them later that same day with detailed information and pictures on any defects. And then the realtor and my client will use the information I provide to them to either negotiate to either get any issues fixed, or they can go through with the deal as is, or maybe use the report to back out in case there are too many problems with the home. And I'm sorry, I know I'm walking around. I hope I'm not making anyone dizzy with all the changing scenery. But so generally, that's how home inspection works. Typically, when you get under contract, you have about a 7-day inspection contingency. So once you get under contract, I'm usually the first person, your agent will tell you to call, and then we can go ahead and get you scheduled. In addition to doing a general home inspection, we offer a few other services that might apply to your home that you're buying, depending on the construction, the location, and the age of the home. One of the common services that we do provide would be radon testing. And if you haven't heard of radon, it's a naturally occurring gas that is found in all homes. But if we have elevated levels of radon in a home, there are correlations to lung cancer. It's suspected that radon is the second leading cause of lung cancer. So what we will do is we will test for 48 hours to see if we have elevated radon in a home. And then if it does come back elevated, it can be mitigated. So the mitigation process is basically a matter of drilling a hole into the foundation and installing a continuously running vent fan that will exhaust all of the radon gas out of the home, and it will run continuously to keep it out. So once that's done, we have all the radon out, and we're not really worried about lung cancer. Now, in a lot of cases, if I test a home for radon and it comes back elevated, The seller will either give a credit to have that corrected, or they will pay to have it done themselves. And the reason for that is because if a seller knows that they have elevated radon, they have to disclose it. And buying a home that has radon in it isn't very appealing, so typically the seller will have that taken care of. But that varies from situation to situation. Another service that we offer is sewer line scoping. So every home has a sewer line. It's a main drain that runs through the front yard, then out to the street and taps into our main sewer line for the city. Now, if you're looking at a home, say in Cleveland Heights or maybe Shaker, Lakewood, wherever, any homes that have maybe an older clay tile sewer line, we do have potential for that sewer line to get damaged. And a common issue that we have, and ironically, this house that I just inspected potentially has that issue, but a common issue that we have would be tree roots getting into that sewer line and causing a blockage or any damage. Now, on a general home inspection, I'm not going to see that issue because I'm not looking at the inside of this drain. So I run a lot of plumbing, and if we don't have a backup, then it seems like we're good. But you can't really know that for sure. So one of the things that we do is we'll stick a drain camera down that sewer line all the way out to the street to find the damage. Now, if a sewer line is completely cracked and maybe collapsed, which I've seen a few times, the whole sewer line in a lot of has to be replaced. Now, depending on the length of the sewer line, could be anywhere between $5,000 and $15,000 to $20,000. So something to look at when you're looking at homes with Andrea and CG, think about, is this an older home that's over 50 years? And look around in the front yard. If we have a lot of big trees, maybe we should think about having the sewer line looked at, because again, during a general home inspection, you're not going to know if you have any issues until you really get in there and look at it. So something I'll show you, I'm sorry, the lighting's going to change. I don't mean to blind anyone. So in this house, or on this property, we have this tree that's right in the middle of our tree lawn going out to the street. And then we have, I'm sorry if you can't see it, we have this sidewalk cement pad that is clearly out of level. And what that tells us is that these tree roots have gotten underneath here far enough to damage this, which would lead me to believe that potentially our sewer line could be damaged as well. So I recommended to my clients to have the sewer line scoped. Now, they didn't have it done today by me, but they may have a plumber come out to look at it. So, and that's not a very large tree either, but if you guys can see down the street, there are some huge trees in the yards next door. So if you have trees like that, which are extremely common in older neighborhoods, that's something that I would consider, would be having that sewer line scoped. Andrea and CG, I apologize. I'm not keeping track of my time at all. Oh, actually, I didn't see it.
You're
it's
fine.
11:50. Right.
Yep, you're right on.
No,
So,
it's great information.
Yeah.
So let's see. Another service that we provide, we do mold testing, where we have a machine that can test the air for elevated mold spores. Now, we are inspecting for mold during a general home inspection. So if we can visibly see it, I can identify it and tell you if you have mold, and then we can try to correct the issue that is causing the mold. But what if we have a finished basement that maybe has some dampness, but we can't see the walls? Now, if we have finished walls covering a damp basement foundation wall, there's a good tendency to maybe have mold behind those walls, but I'm on an inspection and I can't damage the property, so I'm not going to rip the walls apart. So what we can do is we'll do an air test, and we will send the test to the lab, and they will tell us if we have mold spores in the basement. Now, this is something to think about if you're buying a home with a basement that has finished walls, finished ceilings, and maybe carpeting on the floor, and that's going to be your playroom for your kids. Now, you may not really think about it while you're in there. It may not smell musty, but if you have toddlers who are going to be down there for several years, playing for majority of their evenings and weekends. I'm talking about toddlers like they're adults, but it's a good thing to know. So that's another service that we provide. And there are a few other ones that are boring that I'm not going to delve into, but depending, when you give us a call and you want to schedule a home inspection, we will be able to advise you if you're not aware of what you need on maybe additional services that we could provide to you. And we're not salesmen, so we're not going to be upcharging you. We generally provide the services that we feel are necessary, and I try to inspect any home as if it were my home. So, and it's the same thing with CG and Andrea. Same thing with the vendors that they like to work with, because I know that they like to work with trustworthy and honest people. So it's important to have a good team and a good network like we have here of people who really take their clients' best interest at hand. Because there are salesmen out there who are not thinking that way and don't have the client's best interest in mind. So, I believe that is about all I have to share with you guys. So.
Well, I just want to thank you so much, Tyler, for all of that wonderful information. As you indicated, this is one of the reasons, although when working with me or Andrea, definitely being your realtors, we will come in any home and walk through with you just to see from our expertise point of view, the things that may stand out that a buyer may not necessarily look at, right? Because sometimes we get wrapped up in the glam of the home, that you aren't necessarily looking at things that we should look at. Because we have walked into many homes and what we like to say, seeing pigs with lipstick on, right? So that's why we definitely suggest that you have a home inspection done from someone like Tyler, who does this on a consistent basis, that will come in and definitely make sure that this home is not only safe, but that it has a solid foundation for you as a home buyer. So thank you for that information. We appreciate you for your time and all of the wonderful information that you have provided for our viewers this morning. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Tyler.
My pleasure.
All right. I don't think you shared, but how can they get in touch with you?
So you can find us on Facebook. We are Detailed Home Inspections Cleveland. If you'd like to call and schedule a home inspection, you can call Pete. He's my scheduler, and his number is 440-724-3198. And if you'd like to reach out to me, if you have any questions, you can call or text me at 440-708-4284.
4284. I'm just putting it in the chat for you. Well, thank you. Enjoy the rest of your Saturday. We definitely appreciate you.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
All right. I'm sure we'll be in touch soon.
Sounds good. Have a good one.
You as well.
Well, CG, that was great information. Lots of tips. I love the tip, the visual of the sidewalk kind of popping up, because I think
Absolutely.
we often see that, and then we just it's so common to see, we might not even really think about, well, what is that sidewalk block kind of lifted like that, and is that a potential problem? So,
yeah, absolutely.
Great information.
Absolutely. So, with giving all of this lovely information that we are giving our viewers this morning, we actually want to introduce our next guest. So, this wonderful young lady is coming in to let us know the ins and out that go behind the title work, right? So now we have this property under contract. We're doing our due diligence as far as having a home inspection, but this is the lovely individual who is behind the scenes doing all the work on the title to make sure there's no back taxes, no liens, preparing all the necessary closing documents and things of that nature to ultimately close on this home. So I would like to firsthand introduce our wonderful guest, Amy from Cleveland Home Title, here just to share what it is that she does behind the scenes. So welcome. Good morning, Amy.
Good morning. Well, I guess afternoon at this point. So
yeah, I know, right?
thanks for having me today. Appreciate it.
Of course.
No problem. So we've just been taking everyone through the whole home buying experience today of just getting it under the contract, walking through that home inspection piece of it, working with the loan officer, and now title. You know, people don't see the work that we do as agents, kind of like we like little L's, just kind of connecting the dots and making everything happen. And one of the things that we do, we submit the contract over to title, whatever title company is listed on the contract, and we submit it over to you guys. So can you formally introduce yourself to everyone?
Yes, my name's Amy Della Vega. I am with Cleveland Home Title, and we do have a couple offices throughout Northeast Ohio, one down in Medina, one on the east side over on Chagrin, and then one across from Crocker Park in Westlake. We service all of Ohio, so any transaction that occurs within the state of Ohio, we can handle. So, you know, you guys did a great job, you know, in saying that we basically come into the process once buyer and seller are under contract on a property and all documents have been signed. That's where we come into play. And we basically act as a neutral third party in handling the escrow and title transaction process. So the way that that works is that once we're under contract, we work with the buyer's agent and the seller's agent to get all the appropriate documents in place. And then we send out a welcome package to both buyer and seller and say, okay, from this point on, we're going to be handling your transaction and working with your agent as well as your lender. And what we do with that information is we perform a title search on the property just to make sure that you as the buyer are getting a property that is free and clear of all liens and potential issues that could be associated with that property. Things that would come up in a title search could be, you know, if a seller has, say a seller is got liens on his business that carried over to his personal property, or say the seller potentially has a large amount of back taxes that haven't been paid, or we see this instance a lot where a potential seller is maybe John Smith Jr., but John Smith, his father, has a lot of potential debt and or liens in his name. What we do is we just try to work through all of that and clear out potentially any issues that might be associated with that property. And that's to ensure that the buyer then comes into that property free and clear of all problems, really. Other things that we do is we basically, aside from the title and lien search, we would come in if the buyer wants, and this happens more in like, if there's a decent sized parcel of land, a buyer will say, okay, I want you to run a survey on this property. We would then order the survey just so that you as the buyer would know exactly what your property lines are, if there are any potential encroachments from, say, maybe a neighbor's garage or maybe a shed or even a fence. We stake out that property to make sure that that parcel of land that you're buying is actually your parcel and that you are getting what you pay for. And it's one of those things that buyer and seller don't really think much about, but there are a lot of issues that can arise from that. You know, we did one that comes to mind where part of this driveway for a rather expensive house actually belonged to the neighbor. You know, and so it's things like that, you know, we work with the surveyor to try to protect the buyer on issues like that. And just so they're made aware before they close on the transaction that, you know, there are things that could potentially come up like that. Essentially, we also hold any earnest money that would be given with the contract. So generally earnest money in this area is, anywhere from $500 to $1,000. We hold that earnest money and again, just act as a neutral third party. And then we also, as far as the transaction time frame goes, once you're under contract, we can get a transaction closed in about 30 to 40 days is the norm. If you're doing a cash transaction, we could do that in as little as like 2 weeks. But with each transaction, you're getting all the same services. You're getting that lien search, you're getting the title insurance, we're holding your money as a neutral third party, and ultimately we're directed by what the real estate contract says.
Amy, there's a question that says, what exactly is escrow?
So escrow is basically the process where we are holding your money, like that earnest money, and your taxes in escrow so that we can pay those out at the close of the transaction. When you're purchasing a property, you're going into that property, like I say, free and clear of anything that the previous seller had done, including taxes. So every transaction is prorated right up until the time of close. And so, that way when you're coming in, you're not incurring any of those. So we take care of handling that kind of back work for you. And again, acting as that neutral third party.
And then for a buyer, so you receive a contract. And so on the buyer's side, when would they expect to hear from you? If we had a 30-day close, would they expect to hear from you early on throughout the transaction?
Correct. Both. So at the beginning of the transaction, once we received a signed contract by both parties, we reach out to both the buyer and seller with a welcome package and say, okay, here's the preliminary docs you need to fill out. And part of that paperwork, like as a buyer, would be, who do you want to put on title? Is it you and your wife? Is it you and your daughter? Who's going to go on title? So that's one of the upfront questions. As a seller, we would just find out information like, what do you have left to owe on the property? Do you have any outstanding balances that you're aware of? What information can we gather up front to help us on the back end? So that welcome email goes out within 24 hours of us getting the contract. And then we, throughout the process, are constantly updating, usually requesting any additional paperwork, ordering things like payoffs for the seller. We get in touch with the bank that the seller, has their mortgage out through, and we will reach out to them and say, okay, what is this actual payoff amount? Things like that. And then on the buying side, once we've got, because it's important to remember that even when you're buying, we have to clear the seller side of things too, right? Because that's part of getting the title free and clear. So once we have all of the seller's information set, like payoffs, whether or not there's any liens, we've got all the tax information, we then reach out to buyer and seller and say, okay, now we're at the point where we can get you guys to finalize that paperwork. And ultimately, we have to wait for the lender, the buyer's lender, to be ready and give us an official clear to close. But once we do receive that, that's when we then reach out to buyer and seller again and say, okay, this is the final paperwork. This is what you need to fill out for it to be official with the county.
Okay. Yeah, I think you said something important because about the title, well, who goes on deed? A lot of times you have husband, wife, or boyfriend, girlfriend who on the mortgage itself, only one of them could go on because of credit reasons or
Correct.
So one of the things that they're always asked, well, they still want to be, I think they don't know that it's two separate things, like the mortgage and then the deed.
Correct. Yep. Yeah. And so even if there's only one person on the mortgage for, like you said, credit reasons, or, maybe one person's unemployed, whatever. If there's only one person on the mortgage, there can still be multiple people on title. It's two separate entities. And all that means is that Say it is a situation where boyfriend, girlfriend, maybe the girlfriend is the only one on the mortgage. They want to put both people on title. And then what that means is that when you go to then sell that property, both people have to sign off on that property in order to transfer it again. So essentially you're an owner of the home, but you're not responsible for the credit portion of the mortgage.
Right. I think that's very important.
Right.
Well, there you have it, guys. That's another piece of the puzzle to owning a home. That title, they're doing all that due diligence and checking, kind of that safety net for you if you're on the buyer's side, to make sure that you're having clear title. Title insurance, is that something that they should purchase along the way?
Title insurance it's interesting because, we actually offer a separate title insurance for I think it's a $20 fee at the close of the transaction. And people often confuse that with, well, I thought you are a title insurance company. And we are. But a lot of times when you see that on a contract or you're asked, do you want to do this additional title insurance? What that's actually covering is if we were to potentially steal your money as a title company and run away with it, then you would make by adding on that extra $20, it would ensure that you would get your money back. So to me, we've been in business 25 years. I think if you're using a reputable title company, that $20 fee it's a wash. You don't need it. We're not running away with your money. But the other title insurance is basically just making sure that, we're backing the work that we've done, right? We're saying you're taking this property free and clear. There's not going to be any liens. There's not going to be anything withstanding on the property that potentially isn't yours, like a driveway or a shed, a garage, whatnot. That's covered as part of the transaction anyway, once you're using a title company.
Perfect. Well, thank you, Amy. Thank you for sharing with us today, answering our title questions. So we definitely appreciate you.
Absolutely. Thank you. Appreciate it.
If they have any additional questions, how can they get in contact with you?
I can be reached direct at A Delavega, DELA, V as in Victor, EGA, at Cleveland Home Title. You can also access our website at clevelandhometitle.com. There's a lot of just different information on there about the process itself. There's a place where you can go in and look up what your fees would be on a typical transaction. You could actually input the property that you're looking at and get a complete breakdown of fees right from our website. And then I can also be reached direct at 216-965-7404.
Okay. Perfect. Can you say that number one more time?
216-965-7404.
All right. I typed that in the chat for any of you that want to reach out with additional questions. So again, thank you, Amy. We definitely appreciate you here, and I'm sure we will be reaching out soon with our next transaction.
Great. Thank you. Yeah. Have a great Saturday.
You too.
Thank you. You too,
Right,
Amy.
bye-bye.
So,
Wonderful.
what you think, CG?
I think we're providing some information today, giving our lovely viewers some insight of what all goes on in the process. I know we generally get so excited just with the overall purchase of the home that we don't necessarily think about the things that go into a necessary transaction to overall complete it. So there are things that we have brought to everyone's attention this morning, just so you're aware of what all goes on in the process.
Yeah, so don't think that while you're going through this transaction, like just because we have these people showing up today, like you have to individually, know when to reach out to these people. We just wanted to bring them on. So it's not just, you're not just getting the information for us, but you can kind of hear it from the people that are the experts in these fields. answer any questions that you have, but we take you through a journey. You know, we have everything laid out for you. We have all of the resources, everything that you need, from how to get that down payment assistance money to credit repair, everything that you think of. And so that next piece, you know, what comes, what's kind of like that final piece, that cherry on top to the transaction.
So after you know, go through all of these things and steps and things to obtain this home, what do you want more importantly than anything? To make sure the home is insured. So you want to make sure all that you went through, the inspection, title search, all of those things. Well, let me now make sure that the home is completely covered, because you do have a lot of major items in this home that you definitely want to make sure that's insured. So you want to make sure that you have a reputable company to come in and make sure that the home is overall covered. So home insurance is so very important in this process, so much so that we definitely wanted to have a guest on here that can provide some tips and things of that nature, just as far as what a home insurance actually covers. Because a lot of individuals sometimes get home insurance and home warranty. You know, they kind of mix the two. So she is definitely here to let you guys know what home insurance is on that property would consist of. So yeah, we have her this morning too.
Good morning, ladies. Thank you for inviting me.
Good morning. Thanks for popping on, joining us on this Saturday. So we definitely appreciate you. So we are wrapping up our Homebuyer Experience on this Saturday, and we just been taking everyone through the whole, like, the journey of home ownership, from the loan officer to the home inspection, title, and now insurance. And unfortunately, it's like comes right at the tail end. I think people don't necessarily think about it right off the bat. And so we've had buyers at the closing table, you know, like, oh shoot, the lender's asking for proof of insurance, and like scrambling to get this. So we wanted to definitely have someone here to talk about homeowners insurance, the importance, how to get it. And so please go ahead and formally introduce yourself.
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much, Andrea and CG. My name is Erica Abrams. I am the principal and agency manager of Legacy 42 Insurance and Financial. We are a full service boutique insurance agency. So we serve consumers as well as business owners with insurance, landlords, house flippers with builder's risk. But we primarily focus on making sure that our clients get everything that they need, and so that they can be adequately insured, but not necessarily over-insured, and make sure that they understand the products and the services that are best suited for them and their lifestyle, because everybody's different. So are there some key things that you wanted me to address, or just kind of go right in?
You could go in. I mean, most of it is, these are going to be first-time home buyers who are just maybe coming off of rental insurance and now need to roll into homeowners insurance. So
Okay, so renter's insurance, since you mentioned that, Andrea, is important. Renter's insurance pretty much covers your property that you have in the landlord's property. So your electronics and all of that, your furniture, and any other valuables that you may possess that you want to insure. As it relates to homeowners insurance, you want to include those items as well. And they come by default. There's a percentage that actually comes with your policy, but you have to, if you have valuables, family heirlooms, fur coats, firearms, things like that are, you want to schedule those things. So let me back up a little bit. So with homeowners insurance, you're of course insuring the structure of the property, the actual brick and mortar building, you know, your dwelling. So if something happens, an act of God, a lightning strike, a fire, if your neighbor drives into your front porch, that's what homeowners insurance protects. It protects you from the financial losses that may occur. And oftentimes we know things happen and they're not any fault of our own. You know, your neighbor might slip and fall in your yard because, you know, you didn't shovel your driveway, or the mailman might slip and fall on your steps. Well, guess what? You can be sued. So you want to have liability coverage in your homeowner's policy. And by default, any reputable insurance company is going to have a level of liability coverage available to the homeowner. So it comes as a package deal in the policy. The difference for the homeowner is that they can add additional coverages or they could reduce coverages. But most insurance agents are going to give you kind of a roundabout, an average amount of coverage that you would expect to have in that particular neighborhood or for that particular value of home. Again, if you're a high profile individual, you may want to have more liability insurance because people know who you are. If you're active on social media, if, people can be very malicious in their intent. So if you have additional things going on where you have more of a public profile, you may want to include additional liability because people may be seeking out to, unfortunately, get money from you, and people will want to sue your insurance company. Now, that's not typical for the average consumer, but these are things you want to think about as you begin to, we want to protect your asset because for most of us, our home is our biggest asset. And so most policies, again, you're going to have a dwelling protection. Again, acts of God, lightning strikes. One thing that a lot of people understand is that floods are often not covered. And there's some nuances with that. For instance, you may want to have extra protection in case the sewer line that the city may own somehow encroaches upon your property and it busts. And if there's certain lines that the city owns, and then there's certain lines at certain points that the homeowner is responsible for. So I encourage some of my clients to include additional coverages for those type of exposures. We call those exposures and risks. So I may encourage them if there's a let's say there's a woman homeowner and she's a single, she lives alone. I may encourage her to add additional coverages and support her if her appliances go on kaput and the washing machine leaks water all over her basement. Well, she may not have access to a reputable handyman to handle that, so I may encourage her to get additional coverages to support her. If something like that happens, it'll replace her in addition to what she may have with a home warranty or equipment warranty. It can help her with recouping any investment that she lost, like carpeting and things like that. So there's various things you want to be on the lookout for when you're purchasing your policy. You want to have, if you don't have a relationship with an agent, of course, you can reach out to us. But if you do have an agent, you want to ask them some key things about coverage amounts. Most lenders, if you're financing your home, which most of us are, they're going to want you to have a minimum of 80% of the value of the property covered in your policy. So there is 20% that could be allowed that you don't protect the house. Let's say the house is worth $100,000. Well, most lenders may say, well, you can cover the house. We'll allow you to cover the house for only $80,000, but you're going to be on the hook for the $20,000 if something happens to the house and it's a total loss. So these are some of the things that most of us don't really know that we need to know, and the questions we need to ask in the process. But it's fairly straightforward. You want to protect your home. It's your biggest asset. The lender's not going to allow you, as you ladies know, to sign those documents without proper coverage. So it's something you're going to have to do. Nowadays, you can shop around online, but it's always good to have someone that you can actually reach out and touch and help advocate for you, because you do want to be able to call your agent. If something happens, let's say, for instance, your dog bites the neighbor's child. That's a liability issue, and you have coverage in your policy. If you got a good policy, you got coverage for that. You might want to call your agent and say, hey, how should I approach this? How should I file this claim? That's claim worthy right there, because that's going to protect you from being sued potentially to a certain amount. Now, you want to make sure that some of the claims, the things that happen, you may not want to file a claim for, because guess what? When you get to those 3 claims, if you're one of those people that's always filing claims and it's not necessarily something that's what we consider claim worthy, you could be red flagged and your insurance company could drop you. And if they drop you, you may have what's called forced placed insurance put on the property by the mortgage company. Once they find out that the house is no longer insured, they'll put that on there, and then you have to pay the mortgage company for what they've invested to protect the home. And then also there's another option here in Ohio called the Ohio Fair Plan. So some homeowners who don't have their house is considered maybe older. But some of us may consider it historic, but some of the older housing stock, it may be hard to get those homes insured with the traditional insurer. So the Ohio Fair Plan is available to help those consumers to be able to insure their property if in fact it's deemed as not as up to par as what the insurance company may want for their particular underwriting.
Wow, it's great information that you shared with us today. So do you think that the borrower, if they, okay, so a couple things. When I saw a month ago or so ago, I saw in Texas, the code hit. It's not something that normally happens there, but I saw a lot of video and footage of homes where water was just kind of pouring through, freezing, and causing a lot of damage.
Mm-hmm.
The first thing that I really thought of when I saw that was like, wow, I wonder if they had insurance to cover that, because I guess that would be considered an act of God.
Mm-hmm.
That's something that doesn't happen. But I could also see them calling their insurance company saying, well, sorry, we don't have, because you may not typically in Texas have coverage for snow and ice issues.
Or flood.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and flooding. So here in we're not in Texas, we're in Ohio, but I could just see something another act of God. Just, we don't know the way that the temperature is. So my question is, what can a homeowner do to make sure that if anything happens, that they are protected?
That they're covered. You know what? That's a great evaluation of what we just saw in Texas, because it was an act of God. And it actually was no fault of the homeowners or the residents of the state of Texas, because there were infrastructure issues that essentially caused that to be more catastrophic than what it could have been. Mm-hmm. So my assessment of it from an insurance professional standpoint is that the homeowners and the renters, they have a pretty good leg to stand on as far as advocating for themselves to get those claims covered. So that's a good thing. Well, we don't know at the end of the day how that's going to end up. But for the most part, my assumption is, my professional assessment of it is that they'll be okay with, as far as those who were properly insured. Now, the other element of it is, you mentioned making sure you have adequate coverage, above adequate coverage at this point. You want to look at additional coverages to protect you, like, for instance, flood insurance. We don't really have that issue here in Ohio, but in areas in the Gulf Coast, that's something that a lot of homeowners do have flood coverage outside of their regular homeowners policy. The main thing is, you want to have enough coverage to protect you, to be able to build your home from the ground up, because essentially that's what the insurance can assist you with. You're paying that premium every month so that if anything happens, that house can be, if it burns down to the ground, or if an airplane falls down and crashes it, tears it up, that you can build from scratch. And so the policy is going to have an endorsement within it that will allow you to live somewhere else, paid by the insurance company for several months. Not all policies are created equal. Some of them will only give you 3 months of living expenses. Some of them will give you 6 months. Some will give you 9 months. So you have to look and evaluate what makes sense for you and your family. If you know that it'll be extremely detrimental for your family to be without a living for over whatever the policy's offering, you might want to add additional months to that, because you got to have somewhere to live, and the insurance company knows that while the house is uninhabitable and it's being repaired. So those are some of the things that come in the policy. You want to make sure you have adequate coverages there. But I would say, for the most part, your average policy is going to have everything you need. There are those unique circumstances, like I said, flood insurance, wind and hail. coverage. Additional wind and hail coverages are available. And we often see that again in areas with extreme weather conditions. We don't typically see that in the Midwest and the Northeast.
Okay. There was one question that said, can there be coverage added for injuries or mishaps to cover people that actually reside in the home?
That's a great question. No, not for people that reside in the home. Your health insurance covers that. However, the liability coverage covers anyone that is visiting your home temporarily or that works for you, that is on your payroll. So, for instance, if you have a nanny, if you have a groundskeeper, if you have a housekeeper that's on your payroll and let's say they fall down the basement steps, there's protection for that. Okay, that's embedded within your liability coverage. If you hire a dog walker and your dog walker walks your dog and they bite the neighbors, they get into a fight with the neighbor's dog, there's coverage for that because that person is on your payroll. So those are some unique elements of homeowners policies that a lot of people don't know is in there until the stuff hits the fan. But you also want to make sure you have adequate coverage for that. I would say most liability policies, you want at least $1 million. Sounds like it'll cost you a lot of money, but it doesn't. The liability coverage actually doesn't cost that much. It's the coverage for the structure that costs the most, because it's more likely that something will happen to your home than something will happen where somebody slips and falls, or somebody, your dog bites the neighbor's child. That's more unlikely to happen than something to happen to your actual brick and mortar home. So that's where the coverage cost is in a homeowner's policy. The liability is much smaller as far as cost is concerned.
Wow. Well, thank you. Thank you for all this great information today and joining CG and I. So we truly appreciate you coming on and sharing with everyone here. So how can everyone reach you if they have questions?
Sure. So they can reach out to me at 216-675-4046. They can also visit us online at legacy42insurance.com, and that's the number 42. We're on Facebook. We're on LinkedIn. They can reach out to me, Erica L. Abrams. They can, Google me, and they can find out, all the information they may need. And I'm more than happy to help anyone if they have any questions, if they're shopping for a good agent. We have a great agent team. We specialize also in mortgage protection life insurance, and that actually protects your home if a breadwinner dies. If you got a couple or, even a single parent that bought a home for their family, well, God forbid something happened to them, you want to keep that home in the family. You want to keep your spouse in the home with the children and the family. So there are life insurance policies that you can get that are very inexpensive that will protect you if a breadwinner gets sick or dies. So that's something else we specialize in. So we want to protect that structure, but we want to protect the people inside of it and keep them in that house if something happens to a breadwinner. And lastly, I'm also on Instagram at Erica L. Abrams. I'm on Facebook, and we're licensed in Ohio, Texas, and Georgia. And our agency is licensed in those states. And then I also have agents that are licensed all over the United States. So we can help a lot of our clients with all of their needs. It's life insurance, home and auto, commercial, and what have you. So thank you, ladies.
Thank you.
Wow, so much great information. Thank you so much, Erica.
Thank you.
All right, we will be chatting soon with you.
Absolutely. Take care. God bless. Stay healthy.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Wow, we are coming to the end of the Homebuyer Experience. I hope you guys are benefiting from all of this great information. I did see one question that I want to go back and answer. And so that we talk about the housing market. Do you think the housing market has dropped? I don't see a lot of houses for sale. So CG, do you want to share what we're seeing in the market in terms of the housing stock?
Sure. So with that question that was being asked, the inventory is extremely low. Yes, we are currently experiencing a market where the demand, as far as there are definitely the demand for buyers to obtain a home, unfortunately, the inventory is low, which then creates, of course, a seller's market for those who are putting their home on a market, that they're now, definitely getting what it is that they're asking for, just because simply there's more buyers to obtain homes than there are actually inventory out there. So yes, with that being said, we just ask that you definitely have patience in this market, and also encourage individuals that you may know to sell or list their home so that you could potentially find your forever or dream home. But patience is definitely the key. Working with me and Andrea, we definitely will be out here to find you that forever perfect home. But it does require patience in this market to be able to obtain that. So yes, the inventory, unfortunately, is just low at this time.
Yeah, we started to see the inventory start to get a little lower at the beginning of 2020. But then COVID-19 definitely did not help with that situation. And then what we've also seen, people don't think about the new construction industry and how it impacts the housing industry as a whole. So when we look at the new construction, we're seeing that that more luxury market, those homes still being built, but that first time home buyer market in the new construction phase is not happening. So when you think overall in the new construction, that the new construction helps kind of, if you look at it as like a conveyor belt, everything just kind of pushes and moves along. There's no new construction for those first time home buyers. $200,000, price point. Even we were seeing new construction at 150, 200 here in Ohio, and that's not happening. So for a lot of homeowners, there's no move up, so you go from 200 to 300, and that might be out of the question for some people. So just like CG said, it definitely is about being patient and working with seasoned real estate agents who are going to properly write your contracts for you, so that when it's submitted, it is going in a way that the listing agent receives it, and they'll want to work with that agent. Part of the reason, or one of the great things about working with CG and I, you have a team experience. It's also going to require for you to, house comes on the market today, no later than next day, getting into that property. With us working as a team, we can tag team it. If she has another appointment, it's not letting you know and say, oh, you got to wait. We will work it out to get you in there and get going. So there is a method to our madness to support you throughout the entire transaction. Trust me when I say that we have everything that you need right here in under one roof, one house. If it's credit repair, if it's down payment assistance, our lenders, everything. Everything. What do you think, CG? Do you think did we miss anything that we really want to share with everyone today?
Let's see. Yeah, if you're interested in buying a home, give us a call. We're definitely here to provide all of your real estate needs, as Andrea said, not just buying a home, but to make sure that everything's put in place that you need to obtain this home. So, like, again, not to be repetitive, but we are a full service brokerage that definitely hits the head on the nail for everything that you need to make this transaction successful, down to contractors, inspectors, lenders, home insurance, you name it, we got it. Give us a call. We're here for you.
Yep, definitely your community partner. We also focus on giving back to the community with volunteer hours and just providing support all the time. So that's what you get when you work with a boutique real estate brokerage like us here at Brick House Realty. And so we hope to hear from you. Although it was a little bit longer today, I think we've been going for a little over an hour and a half. There's still so much more information that we can't just all cram in here. It really requires for us to have a one-on-one conversation with you to identify your individual goals and needs as a potential home buyer in this marketplace. So you can follow us if you're not following us already. Go ahead, follow Stevie, follow myself, like the Brick House Realty page so you know when we're going live. And thank you. Thank you all for joining us, asking your questions. We're definitely here for you, and we look forward to coming back again and sharing with you guys.
Absolutely. Thank you guys for tuning in this morning. Remember, give us a call today for your home tomorrow. So we will definitely be giving you guys more information as it comes to us. But yeah, we want to thank you guys for coming in and joining us this morning, and hopefully making you a homeowner sometime soon.
Bye.
Bye. Have a great one, you guys.